Nope.
There's a river I bathe in whenever I'm coming back from visiting my grandparents in Arima, a small town in Trinidad and Tobago. I stop off for maybe half an hour, have a dip, and then dry off in the sun while smoking a cigarette. I like the water, and it's closer than the beach. I know a spot that's pretty remote, so usually I have it all to myself. But one day, I saw a boy sitting there on the bank. He looked like he was about 5 or 6 years old, so I asked him where his family was, and he said they lived nearby. Fair enough, it really wasn't any of my business, so I just did my own thing and hopped into the river. I usually get into a deep spot and close my eyes to feel the steam run over me, so that's what I did. But suddenly, I felt a hand grab onto my waist, and I saw the kid treading water next to me. I told him that he shouldn't be out in the deep parts of the river, where he couldn't stand, so I took him back near the bank, and we sat down together in the shallow water. Then he asked me, "How long can you hold your breath?" "I can hold mine real long." I told him that I don't know how long I can hold my breath. He said, "My dad and I try to see who can hold our breath the longest sometimes. Even if I breathe in water, sometimes I stay under." I told him that sounded really dangerous, and that he should come up whenever he needed to breathe, and the kid just laughed at me like I was stupid. Then he said, "Do you want to see who can hold their breath the longest? I won't lose." I told him only if he promised to come up when he needed to breathe, and he said okay. I reckon I was only underwater for about 30 seconds before I came up for air. Maybe I'd been smoking too much and my lung capacity was shot. When I looked down into the water, I saw the boy curled up tight in the fetal position, pulling his head into his chest, totally motionless. It kind of scared me, to be honest, so I tapped him on the shoulder. But he didn't move. So I shook him a little bit, and he jerked away and thrusted himself deeper against the riverbed. And that's when I felt like I'd gotten myself into deep trouble somehow. So I just reached under and tried to lift the kid out. He struggled and squirmed at first, fighting me off, but eventually I got hold of him and lifted him up above the surface. He was a lot heavier than he looked. I asked him why he didn't come up after he saw he had won, and he said, "I close my eyes when I'm underwater, so I didn't see you come up. Closing your eyes really tight is how you can stay underwater forever." I told him that no one can stay underwater forever, that they drown, and he seemed kind of surprised, like he'd never heard that word before. Maybe he hadn't. I got a really cold shiver down my spine then for some reason, so I asked the kid again if he was alright, if he hadn't swallowed any water like he'd promised. And he said, "I'm fine. I didn't swallow any water. I play this game with my dad all the time. It's his favorite game too." I asked the kid, as calm as I could, whether his dad did anything strange during the game, like hold him under the water with his hands, and the kid looked confused and shook his head. He said, "No, I don't think he does." That response didn't sit so great with me, and I got that shiver down my spine again, only worse. So I asked the kid where exactly he lived, and whether it would be alright for me to meet his dad. At first, it seemed like the kid didn't want to leave the river, like he wasn't allowed to leave the river, but eventually he said okay, and he pointed out into the woods. So we got to walking, and he led me to a shed. It was a really run-down place, basically looked abandoned, but I'd known folks who lived in worse conditions. It didn't seem like there was anyone home though, so I asked the kid if his dad had stepped out, and he said, "No, he's right here." Inside the shed, there wasn't much to speak of, except for a large wooden trough filled up with rancid gray water. I didn't like the look of it, so I asked the kid where he and his dad played their favorite game. Was it down by the river, like we had? The kid laughed and replied, "No, we play it right here." He then scampered toward the trough and dipped one foot in, and it looked like he was about to curl up and throw himself under. But there was no way I was going to let him do that. So I ran over and scooped him up again, and as I reached into the gray water, I felt my hand brush against something rubbery, and when the water splashed up, I saw hair swirl and a hollow eye socket in a man's head below the surface. He was hunched over, on his side, like he was clutching something to his chest, and his skin and flesh were really badly gone. It looked like he had been under that water forever. Hello, dear listener. Thank you for joining me in this week's video. If you enjoyed it, you know what to do. I'm not even going to give you the spiel. I mean, if you want to just hit that thumbs up button, that'd be awesome. Shout out to the author of this story, HMBlanc. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. That's his Reddit handle. I will leave a link down below to the original post on No Sleep where you can connect with him. Here is the Would You Rather of the week. Would you rather, alright, this is going to be pretty nasty. Would you rather have to sit up to your waist in that gray, nasty water from this story with the dead body in it, and you gotta sit up to your waist for 24 hours in the water with the body in the water with you, okay? Or would you rather dunk your head in that water for 1 minute and then you can get out? So, same trough with the same rancid dead body up to your waist for 24 hours, or dunk your head underneath for 1 minute. Which would you rather do, and why? Leave it in the comments below. I probably just dunk my head underneath, get it over with in a minute, and then just go home and scrub the skin off of my face, you know. Until next time, everybody, remember to stay safe out there. I'll be seeing you in the next video.